Ugh, it's August.
It's August.
It's August. So, how many left-handed people do we have in the audience? I'm glad to see one. You all raised your left hand. Excellent. Excellent. And I want to wish, as a fellow left-hander, I want to wish you all a happy International Left-Handers Day. August 13th is International Left-Handers Day for those of us in the room. Happy and healthy. Okay. It's also Friday the 13th. I wasn't going to bring that up, Marlene, because somehow that's correlated with Left-Handers Day.
Oh, God.
And, you know, you know what they say about left-handers and it being, you know, if you go way, way back in history, that was derived, being left-handed had to do with witches. And what's the word for left in Italian? Where are my Italian people?
Sinistra.
What is it? Sinistra, right? And what is the Latin derivation there? Sinister. Most doctors are left-handed, and several former presidents are left-handed. And Da Vinci was left-handed. And us left-handed people are the only ones in our right minds. There's my joke of the day, all right? So with that, we will get started. We have another agenda chock full of information to share with all of you today. We're so glad to see so many of you here. We are recording, right, Steve? Yeah. Excellent. So for those of you at home, we're watching now, tomorrow, next week, welcome. We're happy to have you all here too. We will have a few folks who are on the agenda that are unable to be here today, so you'll be stuck with me doing their reports. You know, summertime, vacations, busyness, things like that. Everybody's running in a couple of different directions, but we did want to make sure we shared information with all of you that was important. So with that, we'll start with the administrator's report. Tina Hanneman, as we all know, is our administrator over there at Village Point. And I am happy to report that Tina was officially promoted and is now the licensed nursing home administrator of record over there at Village Point. That's sort of a seamless thing for us here, but for Tina and in the eyes of the state, it's really a big deal. It's a promotion for her and for an opportunity for her to continue to grow and lead our skilled nursing operation over there at Village Point. So we're very, very happy about that for Tina and excited for what that means for our team over there at Village Point. But what that means for us right now is that Tina's really busy and she is stuck over there across the street. So unfortunately, she is not able to join us this morning, but she did want me to share a couple of little things with you. First and foremost, Village Point remains COVID-free. We have not had a case of COVID-19 amongst staff or residents over there at Village Point, I believe in close to 100 days or more. Yes, thank you. That is a big deal. Absolutely. We do have protocols that we do keep in place over there at Village Point. Some of them are those that are required by the state, and some of them are things that we have continued to do on our own to do everything we can to keep the residents and the staff of Village Point safe. Over 80% of our staff over there are vaccinated, which is well above state and national averages. I saw data this morning that said the national average for healthcare providers or healthcare workers vaccination is somewhere in the upper 50s, which boggles my mind, but that's another story for another day. So we are over 80% over there at Village Point, and we're very, very pleased about that. Everyone who comes into the building as a visitor continues to get screened, just like over here. A lot of this stuff is the same on the Monroe Village side of the street as it is on the Village Point side of the street. But we do continue to screen people who come into the building. Staff who are not vaccinated continue to get tested on a weekly basis. And everyone over at Village Point, staff-wise, just like everyone over here at Monroe Village, is wearing a mask if you are a staff member to keep everyone safe. Also over at Village Point, I think you probably all have continued to hear, if you're watching the news at all, some of the struggles that a lot of employers are having with the workforce. And it's no different over there at Village Point, and we're struggling from some of that over here at Monroe Village as well. But the team we do have in place is working extremely hard. They are putting in extra shifts and giving up and sacrificing of themselves just to make sure that all of our residents over there get the care and service that they need. But we do have some folks wearing some different hats and doing some different things over there at Village Point just to keep all of the wheels turning. Our census over there has been hovering right around 100. It's been a couple below, it's been a couple above. Remember, we have a total of 120 beds over there at Village Point. So we've been averaging about 85% of our beds occupied over there. State and national averages are about 73% of skilled nursing beds occupied. So again, that's a pretty positive outcome for us. We'd still like to see it higher. Not that we want to have people, I always say I'd be thrilled if nobody needed to be over at Village Point, because that would mean everybody is healthy and well, but we also know that that unfortunately is not a reality. So we want to make sure we're providing the best care we can over there to as many people who need it. And things do continue to go well over there at Village Point. So that's Tina's report. And if you do happen to see Tina, if she's over here on the Monroe Village side, say hi to her and congratulate her on her promotion to being the full administrator and administrator of record over there at Village Point. So next up, I'm going to turn it over to Nathan Perez. Nathan is our Director of Sales and Marketing, as you all know. He and his team have been very, very busy, a lot going on, and he's going to share with you all of the latest. So with that, here's Nathan. I moved ahead a slide on you, buddy, sorry.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. We will, our typical process, we'll talk about the goals, the results for the previous month, and then we'll take a look at this month, all right? So for the month of July, we had a sales goal of 4. We did only get 1, however, don't be skittish about that. We actually have a lot of sales coming in this month already. And then closings, we had a goal of 4, and we did have 4 closings or move-ins in that last month as well. For the months of August.
Don't move us along that fast, man.
Sorry, ready for fall, it's too hot. In terms of August, we have 4 closings scheduled for this month. We already have 3 sales in, and I think even with those, we have about 7 other apartments on hold where people are working on their applications, medical forms, etc. So this should be a really good month for us that will build a pipeline of move-ins into the 3rd quarter and 4th quarter. So 4 closings scheduled this month, 3 sales in already. We have had 1 event that was this Tuesday. That was an overflow event from our July direct mail, which was focused on a life care contract presentation and luncheon. We had a really great response from that. Tons of people came through. If you recall, those of you that paid attention in July, we had about 50 people come to 2 dates in July. Well, this 3rd date, we had another 41 people come to that event. So really good response. 150 people coming through from 1 postcard. That's a really good return of investment for us. This month we have 2 open house events. They'll be a little bit more casual, where we'll have people in here, a little bit of wine and cheese, show them the apartments, see if that's just a different spin for people, a little bit more of like a real estate style open house. And we have 46 reservations, 31 new inquiries from that mailing alone. So really good response to our direct mail still. All right, September we'll take a little bit of a break. I have some vacation planned in September. We'll take a little bit of a break. We're gonna do a testimonial letter that's going out in September. And it's gonna feature some quotes from some of the folks that have given us some testimonials over the past year. I wanna say and give an enormous thank you to the residents and the staff that participated in our recent lifestyle photo and video shoot. I'm sure all of you saw us running around that day. It was a pretty hectic day. I believe we had about 9 or 10 residents helping us and dozens of staff to pull off something like that. A few of you in the room participated. It took a lot of behind the scenes things for dining to be ready, for housekeeping to have the room set for us, for our video shoot people, our photo shoot people, and obviously the residents themselves taking part. So over the next probably 30 days, we'll see the clips from that. With photo and video, they have to do a lot of touch up and clips and whatnot. So hopefully over the next 30 days we will have something to show you guys that participated. So a huge thank you and much love to all of you who helped us out. Once we have the production done, I'll share it with you guys, and we'll probably share it with everybody actually once we have some clips going. And that will also be featured on our new website, which again, behind the scenes, our home office internal marketing team is helping with our third-party website vendor. We're redoing our entire website. So that is part of the goal between these video shoots, photo shoots, updating all of our imagery so that when we roll out with these new websites in the fall, it really is a good new representation of everything that, who and what we are. So thank you for your continued support. How else can all of you help? Refer your friends, refer your family, tell your kids about, if you have someone that you are working with, that they're helping their parents move somewhere, just let them know about Monroe Village. You will receive a credit if that referral moves into the community, okay? And those of you that have received credits with us, we're pretty liberal with that. We love for you guys to give that good word out and to hear people say, hey, I picked up the phone or I checked out your website purely based on someone living there already. That's the best advertising. That is free advertising, and we're willing to give you a monthly credit for it. So thank you all that have referred people to us. Another couple ways you can help: providing a testimonial for our website, collateral, or social media. That is also helping us tremendously. People are definitely checking out the reviews online, those Facebook recommendations. Personal point of story, I'm looking for an assisted living for my grandmother-in-law right now, and that was one of the first things we looked at, was recommendations of people, right? Because that's the real life experience that sales and marketing people can't tell you. So that really does go a long way. And of course, take part in welcoming new residents and prospects to Monroe Village. My staff always say to me, we can't believe how many people just say hi to us as we're touring. And that goes so far. People always say to us, I have never been to a community where literally I'm saying hi to everybody that I walk by. So please, thank you for supporting us, and then just please continue that support. It's always been appreciated here. And I wouldn't expect anything less from all of you. So thank you very much for all your support.
Thanks, Nathan. And Nathan just sort of touched on that, warm, welcoming, people saying hi in the hallway. That makes such a difference. And I'm not even just talking about it from a sales and marketing standpoint, because it makes a difference there, let's be honest. But it makes a difference in how we all feel about ourselves and how we all feel about one another, and how we interact as a family, and that's really nice, because I'll be honest, that doesn't happen at every community. It doesn't happen in every family, let's be honest here, right? But it's really nice that we have that, and it's something that is organic. And what I mean by that is it just happens. There's nobody forcing our residents to say hi to one another or to staff or visitors. It's just organic. It just happens because it's part of who we are. And I just think that's really, really nice and really, really neat. So thank you to all of you who help create that atmosphere and that culture for your fellow residents and for those who are interested in becoming residents here at Monroe Village. So we saw a lot of pictures up there on the screen. We saw a lot of fun being had by a lot of people up there on the screen. And I already called out Larry. This is my other friend up here in the front row. I'm going to call you out with all the fun you were having out there, Tony. So, yeah. So, who brings us all of that fun? Steve. Everybody tell me Steve's phone number? 6477. It's an inside joke. Anyway, I would like to welcome to the stage the one and only Steve Ween, who is the man who brings you all of what you see up there along with his team. So here's Steve.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, hopefully we're staying cool out there. I need a jingle for my extension. I'll work on that. So some upcoming entertainment for September. I know we're still in August, but I'd like to give people a little note taking if you have your notes or at home watching. We have Saturday, September 4th, Mark Sherman, performance at 7 o'clock in the auditorium. Male vocalist that will play on the piano, or with the piano. Monday,
He's
September...
not dancing on the piano. Okay.
Monday, September 6th, that is Labor Day, so we'll have a performance at 2. They actually were here before, and also Labor Day of 2019, Crazy Feet. So that is a dance performance, usually a husband and wife duo in the auditorium. It's now Sunday, September 19th. It's not a misprint, it's Sunday. Sunday at 7 o'clock. Her name is Jenna. She's actually, I think she lived in New York, she entertained in New York, she's in California. She's coming from California in the area. So when one of the agents I work with, she said, "Are you interested?" I said, "Yeah." But due to her timeline, it's gonna be Sunday. So I'll be here because this is her first time. And she'll be doing songs, I think the genre will be Judy Garland. Okay, so hopefully everyone will come to that show. Thursday, September 30th at 7 o'clock, Hispanic Heritage Celebration. We'll have Claudia. She's been here before. She does a great job with the violin, but her background is from Spain, so looking forward to having a fun day because I talked to Mike in dining. We'll have a Spain menu that night, so we'll have a nice meal at dinner and I'll come up for a Thursday night show. Okay, so that will be fun. I'd like to thank Gina and the other team like Cindy, Ashley, the Alzheimer's Association fundraisers that we've done Camp Day, you saw the pictures. We've done other related ALZ, as we like to put on those donation checks. We have got donations over $1,000, so thank you. And we're still going to be continuing doing some Alzheimer's Association fundraisers. And I wanted to thank Phil Zipser and Sylvia. They have a lovely display, if you haven't seen it already. So thank you for sharing your treasures to the community. Volunteer recognition events. Invitations will be going out shortly. Again, these are volunteers from March 2020 through April 2021. We are we're delayed because of COVID, and we're doing this outside, so I didn't want to do it with the heat we're having. So again, for those who pay attention with the volunteers and volunteer, you'll be getting something in your in-house mailbox, hopefully the next couple of weeks ahead to give you that time and date, okay? And then again, some contact information. For me, Louisville Program Manager, there's my email, extension again, 6477. And some good news, again, Ashley is the fitness coordinator. We actually got her a iPad so she could do some work because Ashley's also very busy like everyone else, and she has an email now. So if you do want to talk to Ashley, I know she takes pictures and family would like those pictures. Now you have a working email with Ashley, so very happy that we're moving along with that. Some other updates with the gym and pool. As of right now, the Live Well Hub right by my office in the Fireside Lounge, there is a Live Well profile, okay? Some of you, I've been here 10 years, you probably had filled one out. So new people, or even if, even if you've been here 5 years, you could fill one out, that's not a problem. Once it's filled out, give it to the concierge, okay? Because we like to look at things that maybe we are not doing, and there's a trend for that. So we have to have data collection with the backup of the collection, obviously. We're still doing appointments for fitness services, so that's the pool and the gym. And like I said earlier, Labor Day is September 6th, so the pool and gym will be closed due to the federal holiday. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. So once again, you can see all the good things that are coming up soon. So mark your calendars for those various events, and just another little reminder that all of the programs that Steve went through, the entertainment stuff, is provided by the generosity of the Kiefer Fund. Those of you who are longer-term residents here are probably well aware of the Kiefer Fund. Those of you who are newer residents, the Kiefer Fund was established, gosh, probably 20 years ago or so. Anybody in the room who can tell me an exact date, I give you $1. But about, I'm going to say 20 years or so ago. When? In the 90s, so more, I don't want to acknowledge that was more than 20 years ago. But anyway, a generous resident left some money to Monroe Village to be used exclusively for programming and entertainment purposes, and that money has been wisely invested, and we are able to use the proceeds from those investments to provide programming and entertainment for you. And as many of us probably know, we've been fortunate that the stock market has done well, and that means there's more proceeds from the Kiefer Fund, which means more programs and entertainment for us, which is great. All right, so you see up on the screen it says Dining Services Report, Mike Wierzbowski. So Mike is not here today, but I'm also going to call an audible. Stan Mazakevich, our Director of Maintenance, is going to provide you with the Dining Services Report. No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
That would be an audible, all right.
That would be an audible, all right, right? But what I am going to do, because Stan and his team are busy, I am going to flip-flop and deviate from what you're going to see on the screen for a second and let Stan go first, and then I will come back and do my best impression of Mike Wierzbowski, okay? All right, so with that, here's Stan.
Hi, everyone. I'll be short today.
So you're about 5'9".
So what I'd like to tell you about is the Division of Community Affairs. They will be
Move that a little, there you go.
The Division of Community Affairs will be conducting their 5-year inspection of all AL and IL apartments. Rob and I are going to be inspecting apartments during the next few weeks to prepare for this. The big thing that they're going to be looking for is storage.
Now, we're going to leave Stan's mask on. He's a little under the weather. Not COVID related, okay,
No.
but a little under the weather. So just to be safe, and I understand it's a little trickier when he's got his mask on, but please bear with him.
Thanks, guys. So Rob and I, over the next few weeks, we're going to be inspecting the apartments with you. So we'll schedule that and we'll let you know. Now at this time, I'd like to introduce Jameer Smith. Jameer Smith is our new maintenance man. Comes to us from Meadow Lakes. Jameer, come on up and say a few words.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jameer. I come from Meadow Lakes. I was there for about 6 years doing security. I'm here now, part of the maintenance team, and I'm glad to be here. And hopefully we can, hopefully we got, have a good time while I'm here.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jameer. Thank you, everyone.
So Jameer has joined our team over here. As he said, he is part of the Spring Point family. He was formerly over at Meadow Lakes and decided to come join us over here in a new role. So he's very familiar with our organization and our expectations, and we're really happy to have him join Stan and Lydia and Mike and Roosevelt over here on the Monroe Village side, as well as Ernesaw, as you know him, who is over on the Village Point side. So we're continuing to grow our teams as best as we can to meet all of your needs and exceed your expectations. And Jameer is a really good guy. I happened to know him when he was over at Meadow Lakes, very friendly and really looking to please all of you. So if you haven't met him yet, I'm sure at some point he'll be stopping by your apartment. He's doing filter changes now through all the apartments. So he's literally going door to door. No, he's not a salesman, but he is literally going door to door, changing out filters and doing things right now. So you may see him, and if you do, just say hi and welcome him to the family here at Monroe. So with that, no, I can't transform myself into Mike Wierzbowski, but I can share with you information that he wanted you to know. So with that, He wanted to let everybody know about a lot of the special events we've been doing in dining services. We continue to work with the Dining Services Committee of the Residents Association, and one of the things that they have suggested or recommended is more theme nights, more special menus, if you will. So here are some of the things that have happened in the last few months. Feels like forever ago, but we had Father's Day. We had a special brunch that day. We had the Caribbean American Heritage Night where we had special meals. I think that was toward the end of June, if I remember correctly. And then Independence Day. Independence Day the 4th was on a Sunday, so we had a special brunch. And then on Monday the 5th, we had, I think we did a cookout. We did hot dogs and hamburgers, traditional fare that we think of as Americans for Independence Day. We did the French American Heritage Night. I think that was toward the end of July. And it was not classic French, if you want to think of it that way. It was French American, so it was a little more Creole or a little more, I'm going to call it Creole because I don't have a better word for it right now. Some different treats and specialties that night that were very well received. Just last week, it was National Watermelon Day. So we had a lot of different things, specials on the menu related to watermelon. It wasn't just watermelon for dessert. I don't know if any of you had the chicken that was served that night with it was like a balsamic watermelon glaze to it. Very tasty. I had some of that myself, and you really, the flavor in it was very refreshing, was very, very good. An interesting combination that you wouldn't necessarily think to do, or at least I wouldn't. And then the Jersey Shore specials. We did that, just Tuesday night, right? Did anybody have the cotton candy ice cream? No? A couple of you did. I have, those of you who know me, I have a sweet tooth, and I like things like that. And I did sneak down there and get a taste of that cotton candy ice cream, and damn if it didn't taste like cotton candy. I'll tell you. If I closed my eyes, other than the feel and the texture of what cotton candy is in your mouth, other than the feel and the texture of ice cream, if you went purely on flavor, it really tasted like cotton candy. It was pretty neat. So I hope you enjoyed all of those special menus and items that we had. And again, our thanks to the Dining Services Committee for their suggestions about adding more of these things. And I think you'll continue to see them as we move forward, which is my segue to what's coming soon. So we're going to capitalize on the Jersey theme. So we did Jersey Shore early in the month, and we know we are hitting prime season for vegetables here in New Jersey, right? So we're going to do a couple of Jersey Fresh specials on the 18th of August, which is next Wednesday, and then the following Wednesday, the 25th. And no, it's not just going to be corn and tomatoes, okay? There's a lot more to offer in terms of Jersey Fresh here in New Jersey other than just Jersey corn and Jersey tomatoes. So Mike and the team are working on some really neat specials for that, so be on the lookout for more information. And then, of course, we have Labor Day coming. It's hard to believe. We are approaching the end of the summer season. It's crazy. So you'll see some specials for Labor Day coming up in the beginning of September. And then, of course, we have Rosh Hashanah. We have the High Holy Days are actually quite early this year. So we will have some specials for Rosh Hashanah, and then we will be doing some things for Yom Kippur as we move through the month of September. Village Bistro. So a couple of updates Mike wanted to share for you, provide you for the Village Bistro. We have re-implemented the full breakfast menu. Those of you who are breakfast people and have been with us since before COVID, which is a long time ago at this point, it feels like, almost 18 months, we used to have a traditional breakfast available to you, in addition to the continental breakfast. The continental breakfast is available to everyone, and we've had that in place, and that has continued to roll. But we also had available for purchase a full breakfast menu: pancakes, omelets, scrambled eggs, breakfast sandwiches, etc., etc. That is once again available. Again, the continental breakfast is complimentary and is for everyone. And then the full breakfast, if you want a breakfast, come on down. You can either do it as a meal credit or it can be available for purchase separately. But that is available once again for dine-in the bistro. And in addition, again, going back to pre-COVID world, If you remember, the bistro never really closed. It was open from 7:30 in the morning until 7 at night. During COVID, well, we shut everything down, and then we've slowly opened things back up, right? So we're now at the point where we have fully reopened the bistro, and it is open from 7:30 in the morning until 7 at night. There are defined times for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just so that we can kind of move our way through the day. And we are still requiring reservations for meals for lunch and dinner. Breakfast, no, but for lunch and dinner, just from a safety standpoint and a contact tracing standpoint. But if you want to come in and grab and go something, you want to come in and order something for takeout, the bistro is open 7:30 in the morning until 7 at night for you to be able to do that. So we're really happy that we've been able to reopen that back up and make all of that available to everybody again. The coffee bar, another COVID casualty. The coffee bar is back. So that is located, yes, I agree, for the coffee bar. A little different than what we had before because of it's a COVID casualty, but we are happy to be able to have coffee back available for everyone. Down in the Live Well hub, if you're going towards Steve's office or you're heading toward the restrooms there's a coffee bar right there on the left as you're walking back into that area where you sign up for programs and events and stuff like that. For a long time, there was nothing on that counter because we had to shut everything down for COVID, but it's reopened again. So we have coffee and tea, we have hot water, cold water. There's a cold water dispensing machine and a hot water dispensing machine. That's been there for some time. But that is there, as well as there'll be carafes for hot coffee, both regular and decaf. And that'll be available Monday through Saturday from 9:30 in the morning when continental breakfast ends until 3:30 in the afternoon just before we start up dinner service. And again, that's Monday through Saturday. And we are taking Sundays off because we do have brunch available and there's something to get all throughout the day. So we will have the availability of coffee and tea in our dining venues during those hours. So we are going to take Sundays off to reset and restock that coffee bar area. But it's open. The cups are there. Like I said, there's a water dispenser for both hot water and cold water, as well as regular and decaf coffee. You'll find condiments there, creamers, sugars, all that kind of good stuff. We just ask that if you use it, you're welcome to. Just please be mindful and clean up after yourselves. There's a hole in the countertop that is a trash container. Please, if you're mixing coffee or tea or whatever, throw your creamers or sugar packets or whatever in there. You'll also see that there are napkins there, so you can wipe things up or take a napkin with you. It is important that we, as part of a family, we all take care of our home, right? So we want to make sure that we're doing that as well. Okay. I mentioned a little earlier that Labor Day is coming soon. And as we said, unfortunately, at least in my eyes, unfortunately, that means summer is drawing to a close. But what's nice about it is fall. Fall is a lovely season, and I do like fall. It's winter I'm not a big fan of. But what that means for us here is that it's time for us to revise our menus again. We've been doing for a year now seasonal menus with revisions during each season. But we're coming up on the start of the fall seasonal menus. So we are working with your dining services committee. The members of the committee were all given copies of last fall's menus to review and offer suggestions, to reach out to you, their fellow residents, and get some feedback so we can prepare our fall menus that will be starting toward the end of September, because remember, the first day of autumn is September 22nd. Also, I think Mike mentioned this, we didn't meet in July, but in June, that he had ordered some new tabletops so that we have bigger tables for folks to sit at down there in the Fireside Restaurant. They have arrived and they have been installed, so you might not notice it if you just sort of look across the room, but if you sit at some of the tables, they might feel a little bigger to you. Some of the two-tops, what we call two-tops, tables for two, are a little wider, a little longer, give everybody a little bit more space. We also made some of what we call the four-tops, the big square tables. We bought some bigger square tables. which then enables us to put square tables together to create tables for 6 or 8, which we know, again, prior to COVID, accommodating larger groups was a little bit more of a challenge for us. We had been putting groups of 6 around the round tables, and I don't know about you, but I always felt scrunched when we put a group of 6 at those round tables. So now with the bigger square tables, we can push them together to give everybody a little bit more elbow room. And to make another left-handed comment for my lefties in the room, we're always elbowing somebody on the side of us. So when we sit at a round table, it's never pretty. So we need to be on the corners or on the ends. And with the square tables together, we can do that. So what have we done with the round tables? They're now tables for 5, which gives us plenty of room around the round tables for a group of 5. So we're happy to be able to accommodate larger groups and give everybody a little bit more space when dining together in the fireside restaurant. And next is just a reminder about the safe indoor practices. And this really goes to COVID and what we are doing specifically in dining services to make sure we're keeping all of you safe, all of our team members safe, and providing everybody with a great dining experience. Because we know that if there's one thing that everybody does around here, it's eat, right? And everybody shows up at one of our dining venues somewhere along the way, whether it's dine in or take out or get delivery. So we really need to make sure we're continuing to be focused on how we're handling safety and delivering to you a good experience and a good meal. So a reminder about reservations. We do continue to need you to make reservations at both the Fireside Restaurant and upstairs in the Village Bistro for lunch and dinner in the bistro and for dinner downstairs in the Fireside Restaurant. Now, if you remember, early on we were pretty stringent about, we had 2 seatings, right? We had a 4 o'clock seating and we had a 5:30 seating. And we only had an hour and you had to take dessert and coffee to go. And we were kicking you out at an hour. Well, that was an early thing we needed to do with COVID. As time has gone on, we've been able to loosen a fair amount of that and allow folks more time to relax and enjoy their meal as opposed to having to rush through all of it. So coffee and dessert has been back in place in both venues for quite some time, so you're not rushed out the door. We've also loosened up the reservations. And what I mean by that is we're no longer, if you call, you'll probably notice we've been pretty explicit about it upstairs in the bistro, a little less so downstairs in the restaurant, but Joe's been managing. And what I mean by that is it's no longer solely either 4 o'clock or 5:30. I think you may be noticing that Joe might say, if you want to go downstairs, well, would you like to come at 5 or would you like to come at 5:15? We're trying to stretch things a little bit because it allows a couple of different things. Number one, it allows us to ensure timely service. Because if we stretch things out or move things around, and we kind of have a flow as how the meal goes, and hopefully that creates a better experience for everybody as opposed to, bam, everybody sits down at one time, and bam, everybody needs to get their food at one time. It's a little more challenging. We're trying to give you a better dining experience that way and spread things out. So just like a regular restaurant, if you want to think of it that way, a lot of times you may call for a restaurant and you might want to have a dinner reservation at 6 o'clock, right? Or 5:30. And you call the restaurant and you say, hi, I'd like to have a reservation table of 4 at 5:30. And the man or woman on the phone might say, great, 5:30, we'll see you then. Or they might say, we're already kind of full at 5:30. Could you come at 5:15 or could you come at 5:45? Think of, that's not uncommon when you call a restaurant for a reservation. And usually, unless there's some really hard and fast reason, most of us will say, yeah, sure, we'll come at 5:15 or we'll come at 5:45. It's not a big deal. We're going to be doing the same thing here, trying to spread things out a little bit to create a better experience for everyone. And then the COVID-related reason to reservations, we do need to know who is in our dining venues for contact tracing purposes in the extremely rare event that we do have someone who tests positive for COVID. We do want to know who has been around that person so we can do everything we can to make and keep folks safe. So we will be continuing with the reservations to keep everyone safe. Temperatures. We still need to take your temperature when you come into either of our dining venues, okay? It's pretty quick, easy, and painless, but we do ask that you cooperate with the host and hostesses on that. Let them take your temperature and be good to go with that. Okay, again, that's for everybody's safety. Hand sanitizer. It is available for everyone to use upon entry and exit. You'll find, you all know by now, they're all over the place, those hand sanitizer things. So you'll find them at all the entrances and exits to both of our dining venues. Please take advantage of that. If you would like, remember early on we were giving everybody little hand wipe sanitizers and a little Ziploc bag at your seat to put your masks in and everything like that. If we're not putting them on the tables anymore, but if you would like one, just ask. The staff can provide you with any of those things if you wish once you're seated. And then the last thing is guests. We are right now still trying to hold to 2 guests per resident at a time in any dining venue, at any time, any day of the week. If you remember early on, we were really only allowing visitors at our 4 o'clock seatings and at our early seating for brunch on Sundays. We've expanded that. You can have guests at any time, but we are asking that you limit it to 2. If you were to have a situation where you wanted to have more than 2 guests, there are some ways we can accommodate that by way of the private dining room or some other situation. So don't feel that you can't. Just understand that in the Village Bistro, or more importantly downstairs in the Fireside Restaurant, we are limiting it to 2 guests at a time. But like I said, we can make accommodation if you have a larger group. Just let us know and we'll work with you on what we might be able to do. All right, last reminders from Mike. Village Bistro phone number 6432, and that is to call for reservations and takeout orders. If they don't answer the phone, leave a message and someone will get that information and will get back to you. Downstairs for the Fireside Restaurant, the phone number down there is 6433. So 6432 upstairs, 6433 downstairs. I know it's tricky, but you can call there to make your reservation and your orders for the Fireside Restaurant. Another reminder, we put this in place a few months ago, the menu line. I know that a lot of folks want to know what's the special of the day, both upstairs in the bistro and downstairs in the restaurant. And that is posted on channel 1979. You can find that every day. It usually goes up after dinner for the following day. You can, now I'll make sure they're doing that because they should be. Oh, is it in the morning? Okay, maybe they're doing it first thing in the morning. Okay, either way, you have it in advance. I'll check with them. It's also on the monitors that you see down by the Fireside Restaurant and a couple other places where those touchdown monitors are, up here at the concierge desk. And then if you can't see it on either of those places, maybe it scrolls by too fast for you, we have the menu line. You can call extension 6485 and someone is on there, it's a recording, and reads to you what these specials are for the day. So there's a whole bunch of ways for you to find out the specials. Don't forget you've got that menu line as an option as well. Okay? And then the last thing, and this goes without saying, and folks are continuing to do this, which is really, really good and really important, the importance of resident feedback. Mike really needs to hear from you when you really like something. He needs to hear from you when it wasn't so hot, so that we can continuously evolve in our dining services program, utilizing the feedback of the residents. Now, I will remind everyone, when we get feedback, there's feedback that is particular to an individual, that are personal preferences. And what I mean by that, I always use the example, right, of some people like their peas really, really firm, and some people like their peas this close to split pea soup. Okay, that's a personal preference thing. So we kind of try to balance all of that. But then there are other things that, like, wow, everybody really liked the chicken we served last night, or wow, nobody really liked the chicken we served last night. Those kinds of things that help guide what we're going to do for future meals, and that feedback is really important. Mike and I review those cards. Mike talks to the dining services about the trends we see in those cards. So continue to offer that feedback. Right now, because of COVID, the cards are not on the table. They are available, I think, at the exits to both the Fireside Restaurant and the Bistro. In talking with Marlene Zeiselman, who's the chair of your Dining Services Committee, we're talking about putting them back on the tables like they used to be, with the thought that maybe we'd encourage some more feedback. So look for them to maybe show up on your tables again at some point soon. And then, of course, you can always call Mike. His extension is 6424. Or you can email him, and his email is listed there on the screen. It's mwierzbowski, WIERZBOWSKI @springpointsl.org. All right, so that's all the scoop I got from Dining Services, or so I think. Yeah. All right. So like we said, we called the audible, so we did the maintenance report. And now I am going to move on to introduce, or reintroduce, if you will, the Monroe Village Residents Association. Monroe Village Residents Association is all of you, the residents of Monroe Village. You have your own governing body. And we've had a very robust residents association over the years here at Monroe Village. And we're really starting to move things into yet another gear in the beginning of 2020. And it was great. There was starting to be a lot more resident engagement, a lot more resident participation through the Residents Association. And then we had COVID. And everything stopped. And sadly, we lost Bob Zeiselman, who was the president of our Residents Association. And several other members of our executive committee were no longer able to serve. So the Residents Association kind of went on hiatus, I'm going to call it, for lack of a better term. And through the throes of COVID, it wasn't the most important thing on anybody's agenda, residents or myself alike, and I think everyone can understand that. But as we continue to move forward, it's important that we continue to bring things back to life. And as far as the Residents Association goes, the first step toward that was the reconstituting or the restarting of the Dining Services Committee, which is one of the committees of the Residents Association. And those of you who are on the Dining Services Committee, again, I thank you for re-engaging with us and restarting those meetings, because it's been really, really important. The other group through the Residents Association that has gotten back together is your Financial Advisory Committee, and that is a small group of residents that I meet with on a quarterly basis to review the financial performance of Monroe Village, and that is a small group as well. And then we also had election of a new resident trustee. Marie Eppinger took over as resident trustee at the beginning of this year, following in the steps of Betty Heuser and Esther Race before Betty as your representative to the Spring Point Board of Trustees. So where does that bring us all with respect to the Residents Association as a whole? I believe that, again, the Residents Association, it's your association. I pull a couple of corny things. I don't think they're corny, but it's of, by, and for the residents, to pull a phrase from our history. And I look at it where all of you are citizens, and you are to be engaged, to be a part of, to be a citizen in your community. And we need to get the governance part of it restarted. So I reached out to Barry Falk, and some of you may know Barry. I know Barry's very active and engaged in a number of programs. You know, his are you a baritone?
I don't know what I
You don't know what you are. I'm going to call it your baritone voice that we hear at bingo some nights, the Friday night candle lighting services sometimes for those of you who go. I reached out to Barry and I asked him if he would be interested in helping me get the Residents Association restarted, along with Larry Shepard. And Larry, who everybody knows, we saw him with the flamenco dancer. Larry was the treasurer and still is the treasurer of the Residents Association. To restart what we could get going for all of you, for the residents. I typically try to stay one step removed from the governance of the Residents Association and its workings, because it's your association, it's not mine. You know, my job is to operate Monroe Village and to have town hall meetings like this and to do things, but it's also to work in concert with the Residents Association, but not to run the Residents Association. We have a very great relationship, or we always have, and I've tried to stay sort of arm's length away from the inner workings of the association. But because of COVID, we're in some unprecedented times, and I thought it was important to get things jump-started with Larry's help and by reaching out to Barry and asking him to take charge, at least on an acting basis, of the Residents Association and try to get things jump-started for us. So with that, I'm going to turn the podium over to Barry Falk for a few minutes. Barry's going to talk to you a little bit about the Residents Association, where things are at, and a really important thing we've got coming up in the fall for the Residents Association. So with that, I'm going to ask Barry to come up. So here's Barry Falk. So I will drive
Okay.
as you go. Okay? All right.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to see so many folks here today. That's very, very special. Very good. So the more people here, the more people will be able to talk to everybody else what's happened here today. And I'm going to start off with a quotation from George Burns. George, may he rest in peace. He was 100 years old when he passed away. George Burns said, when you have something to say, try to have a good opening and a good ending and bring them as close together as you can. So that's what I'm going to try to do. And Jay, you really said so much about the association that I don't have too much more to say about the association, except that we are in progress and we're in very good progress. I'm honored and flattered that Jay asked me if I would assume the position, and I thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I hope you'll all be as happy with him as with me, as Jay said he was with me, so hopefully that'll work out. Julie Gelb will be our vice president. You all know Julie, I think. She's one great gal. I met Julie at dinner here before Marsha and I moved in. And then COVID came along. We had dinner here. The dinner was very good that night. Maybe they made it special for me. I don't know. I'm not sure. But anyway, that was it. And here we are. And we're still very, very close and very good friends. They attend our events. I just had a big birthday party, and she was part of my party because she's part of my family. You know what? Speaking of family, all of us have families naturally. And I just had a big birthday party, and Julie was invited to my birthday party because that's how close we had become. Family is such an important thing. Monroe Village is a family. We're a family of people. We're a family that are working together, play together, sing together, eat together, do everything together. And when Nathan said that he says hello to everybody, I try to say hello to everybody too. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, how are you, how you been, bing, 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 boom, boom, bop, bop. And it works. Anyway, Larry Shepard is our treasurer, and I thank you for staying on board. And he has an assistant treasurer, Jill Hoffenberg, and Millie, oh my goodness, Muriel, excuse me, I'm sorry, Muriel Turetsky is our secretary. And Muriel said to me that she's going to tape every meeting and then go over it again and leave out all the stuff that doesn't have to be said, like just nonsense, little minor conversation, but go in with the proof of stuff that we voted on, that the executive board has voted on and approved, okay? So that's that. The association was actually formed by speaking to some people here with some knowledge about it, And it was the Monroe Village Residents Association was started in 1988. And they did it for the people got together and they said, we need an association in this place. And that's exactly what happened. And it survived, and it's here, and it's working beautifully from what I've heard from many, many people. And we hope we can continue in that way. One of the reasons it had to get started again is because of a great fund, the Appreciation Fund. The Appreciation Fund is a fund that collects money, solicits money from everybody in this room and everybody in all of Monroe Village. And the money is divided between all the salaried employees and between all of the other people that are working on an hourly basis. Last year there was almost $80,000 collected and passed around. And it went well, everybody was happy. It shows that we appreciate the people that work here, what they do for us, and you know how much they did to be working between the COVID situation. And having said that, there'll be a letter coming out very, very shortly. It's already went to press. Oh, I forgot to tell you something very important. All the people, especially Larry Shepard and Jill, they have been vetted. They have been vetted. The FBI and the Treasury Department, because I told them that we're going to be having a lot of money coming in, and all of a sudden, Larry, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you about it. I had to do it, and anyway, it's all done. Perfect. They passed with flying colors, no problem. They don't worry about anything.
Annette and I are going to Hawaii next week.
Oh, that's before the money comes in, so don't worry about it. Okay. So here we are, and that's why the association had to get started a little bit quicker, because the association is in complete, total charge of the fund. We handle everything. We handle the solicitation, we handle the receiving of the monies, we deposit the checks, we keep records of the checks, every penny is accounted for, and then we're also in charge of passing out the money to the people at a special luncheon for everybody. So that's about it, I guess, right? Oh, and Marlene, I want to thank you. I had a nice chat with Marlene, and I just asked her if she was signing on. I didn't know that you were actively engaged now with the dinner thing and everything, and planning some of these things with Mike and everybody else. But it shows that the association works. When people like Marlene and other people who are involved in the association doing these things and pushing them and getting them done and getting the feedback from you guys, that's what it's all about. So having said that, I thank you very much for the honor and the privilege of being your president. I will do the best I possibly can, and God bless all of us. Be well.
Thank you, Barry. I hope everybody is pretty excited about the re-engaging of the Residents Association. I know Barry is. And when he first agreed to come on, I said, okay, that's great, thank you for doing that. And then he said about finding people to round out the executive committee. And I said, well, we've got Barry and we've got Larry. It's the Barry and Larry show. Right. I asked him to find other people's whose names rhymed with Barry and Larry. You struck out on task number one, buddy. That's all I can say. I don't know, Barry, Larry, Mary doesn't rhyme. I don't know where we could have gone from there, but all kidding aside, Harry, we could have found a Harry. There you go, Barry, Larry, and Harry. It's like Larry, Curly, and Mo, I'm not sure, or Manny, Mo, and Jack, depending on which one you want to go with there. But anyway, I'm very excited that we've found a group of folks, residents who are willing to volunteer to help us kickstart the Residents Association once again. It is an important and vital part of our community. And I am here to pledge my support in any way that I can to get the group up and rolling again. As you see on the screen, they're planning to do their first meeting in September, and we'll get things rolling where, per the bylaws, they'll have an election for officers in December. We created an acting group right now just to get things going. Larry is the holdover from the previously elected board, and as we said, we'll get things going again. And I think that the group that has volunteered to help us really is a very well-rounded group of folks who will take all of your interests in trying to get things rolling for our community. So with that, it's on to my report. I don't have a whole lot for today. You're all probably saying, thank God. All right, a few quick things. Chaplain update. We are meeting with new chaplain candidates, so we do expect to hopefully finalize that in the coming weeks. Rabbi Asher continues to be with us on Fridays, most Fridays, and that will continue for the foreseeable future to offer us some spiritual life support, both here at Monroe Village as well as over at Village Point. The clinic. I wanted to give you all a little bit of an update about the clinic. So I think everybody knows Gabriella Abril. You know Gabby? Gabby is about this tall, but talk about a stick of dynamite. She does it all. She is phenomenal. Talk about a woman who knows her stuff and cares and is compassionate. I'll be honest, in my 20-some years doing this now, I've encountered few like her with that kind of energy and that kind of commitment. Amazing. But Gabby's going. She's going to be leaving us, and I'm very sad about that, but let me tell you where she's going or what she's going to do. Gabby wants to be a doctor, and she's going back to school. She's going to go, she's got to do a few classes this year, but then she's going to medical school. Which, again, I am so sad we're losing her, but I am so proud of her and proud to know her, because that's a big deal. And to do that after you already have a family and have had a career, to go back to school for anything is a challenge. But medical school, and you know what? She's gonna blow their socks off, okay? She is gonna just knock the ball out of the park and her way through medical school, and when she becomes a doctor, she's going to be one of the best doctors out there, and we will be happy to have known her when, so to speak, right? So yeah, I think a round of applause for Gabriella. She will be here for a few more weeks before her semester starts, so we'll have an opportunity to say goodbye to her and wish her well. So with Gabriella's departure, that means, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to replace her? We can't replace her, just like we've said about Reverend Terry. So what are we going to do to make things work? So many of you probably know Dasha Syriac. Dasha is currently our assisted living coordinator and actually started way back in the clinic and personal care before she became the assisted living coordinator. So I have asked Dasha to come on board as what I'm kind of calling right now the Director of Clinical Services. So she will be overseeing the clinic and personal care, as well as assisted living nurses, okay? And then what we're going to do is bring an additional nurse in to be just in the clinic, to kind of refill some of the needs that we have. So we're going to change the structure a little bit, as well as adding an administrative assistant to support some of the back of the house paperwork sort of functions. But what I think this is going to do is create a better cohesiveness for all of you in terms of the clinical services, the nursing services, and also create a better cohesiveness amongst our nursing personnel. So Dasha is going to be sliding into that role upon Gabriella's departure. They're already doing some transitional type of things. So if you've been down to the clinic, you may have seen Dasha down there. And undoubtedly you've seen Gina down there. And you've seen Cindy down there. And Maria Syriac, our business office facilitator down there, and a couple of other folks. In addition to this change that I'm talking about, we've also been suffering because we've had a few folks who are out on leaves of absence, particularly in the clinic. So it's been a bit of a challenge, and we are so fortunate to have people who are willing to step up and step in anywhere at any time to support our different functions here, even though they may be things that are outside of their comfort zone, and even though they are definitely things they don't have the time to do, but they're still doing them. And I think we should just acknowledge the efforts of what Gabriella and Dasha and Gina and Cindy and Maria and a couple of other people have been doing to keep things rolling down there in the clinic and personal care over the last month or 6 weeks. It hasn't always been smooth. I know we've had a few hiccups along the way, but I did want to acknowledge, we're going through a little bit of a shift there, a little bit of a change, some planned, some unplanned, and we've got a lot of folks who are jumping in different ways to support all of you, and I think it's important that we thank them for their efforts. So my thanks to those in the back who are in the dark, but are never in the dark, who help us out with things. So finally, just a little COVID-19 update, because, how can we have a meeting without talking about COVID? Soon enough, you are going to start receiving what we are calling our infection control newsletter. Latira Perry, who is our infection preventionist, she is primarily based over there at Village Point, but she will provide us with assistance over here at Monroe Village as well from an infection prevention standpoint, is creating an infection control newsletter that will be distributed to all of the residents. Give you some facts, give you some information about infection control and about COVID and all that kind of good stuff like that. So look for that in your mailboxes in the coming week or two. So just so you have some more info, we're trying to continue to keep people educated and informed in as many ways as we can. That being said, things remain good inside the bubble. I've been talking about us as the Monroe Village bubble god for entirely too long at this point, but things remain good. We have not, as I mentioned very early, seen a case of COVID in well over 90 days over at Village Point. It's been well over 120 days over here at Monroe Village, and that's really, really good. Yes, I agree. So, and vaccination, we remain very, very well. Amongst the independent living population, I think it's everyone except 2. It's 99-point-something%, and those 2 have very valid medical reasons for why they cannot receive the vaccine. In assisted living, 100% of our assisted living residents are vaccinated. And our staff, it's over 75%. So still pretty good. I'd like it to be higher amongst the staff, and we continue to encourage them to get vaccinated. But it's a work in progress. And as I said, the national average out there is less than 60% of healthcare workers, so us being at 75 plus here and at over 80% at Village Point is pretty good. So we're happy about that. But we are concerned over the Delta variant. And I think any of you who've seen any of the news the last few weeks know that there's been a rapid increase in COVID-19 positive tests, primarily among the unvaccinated. But that's due to what's called the Delta variant or the Delta strain of COVID-19. So we are worried about that, and we are monitoring that very, very closely. We're on regular calls with different regulatory bodies and authorities to make sure we're informed about the latest information and what we can be doing to keep all of us safe. So with that, you saw my note last week that we, tightened a few things, but staff, visitors, and vendors are required to wear masks while they're inside the community, and we are reinforcing that with everyone. In addition, all staff, visitors, and vendors should be coming in through the front door and should be screened prior to going anywhere else in the community. Okay? Once in a while we find somebody who's misbehaving, and we need to remind them, but by and large people are pretty agreeable and following the rules with respect to that. Residents. Now, I didn't note here, I say residents are recommended to wear masks while in public areas and unable to maintain social distancing. That's a new thing. We are not going to require it. The only places it is required, and this was in my note to all of you last week, for residents to wear masks are the beauty salon, the clinic, if you're down at rehab services and PT in the gym, the PT gym, not the Live Well gym, the PT gym, rehab gym, or if you're on one of our transportation vehicles. And the reason it's required in those areas is because if you think about it, those are the situations you are most likely to be close to someone, right? So we want to do everything we can to keep everybody safe. But because of the Delta variant, I am going to go back and recommend, it's not a requirement, and it will not be anything that we are going to enforce in any way, but we are recommending that if you are out in a public area and you can't maintain social distancing, obviously meals, you can't wear a mask while you're eating, but we are going to recommend that you think about wearing a face mask again. That is for everybody's protection, even though, like we said, we are very safe under the bubble. We are over 99% vaccinated amongst our resident population, but it's better to be safe than sorry. And the masks are really proven to be effective, and we really are, right now, due to where things are outside of Monroe Village, we are going to recommend that residents very seriously consider wearing masks while you're out in the hallways, while you're in other situations, in public areas where you cannot maintain that social distancing at 6 feet from others. So with that, we are going to open it up for any comments and questions. I've got my main man Tony here who has the microphone. We're going to turn the lights on so that folks can see. Let me see. All right, you got the ones in the back? All right, and Tony has the microphone, and if you would raise your hand if you have a comment or a question, Tony will come around to you with the mic. Tony, you okay to do the mic now? Yeah? Okay, so let's go. You're on. All right, I think you've got a couple of hands up in the back. If you could wander around for me, and then Cindy's got another microphone, so we'll try to make this roll along as best as we can. Maybe Cindy, you take one side of the room, and Tony will take the other so we can keep this going. So first up, we've got Phil. Phil and Sylvia, thank you again for offering your treasures for the display case. We really appreciate it.
The FDA has approved a boosted shot for people with compromised immune systems. Is Springpoint doing anything about bringing that in?
Okay, so did everybody hear that? Phil just asked about a booster shot for the COVID vaccine. The FDA has talked about immunocompromised people receiving a booster shot. And that has just happened with the FDA, I think within the last week or less, if I remember correctly. So we are working with our vendors on that. I cannot tell you I have any definitive information for you about a booster shot or its availability here at Monroe Village, but I can tell you we are looking at it, and we will provide additional information as we know how all of that sort of sorts out. Because we do know we may have a fair number of people here who would fall into that category. Absolutely. Thank you for the question. All right, Betty, good morning.
Good morning. Many employers have required a mandate for the vaccine. I may have missed it, but do we require a mandate for employment here?
Right.
And are we considering one?
Okay, so the question was about a mandate for employees to be vaccinated. And as of now, we do not have a mandate that all employees be vaccinated. We have, if everybody could just, we've contemplated it, and we are looking at what the regulations and the laws say with respect to that. But our current policy holds that it is not required. It is very strongly recommended. As we see, we've got 75, over 80% of our staff that are vaccinated, and those that are not in our regulated areas continue to be tested weekly at a minimum, and everyone is screened coming in the door every single day for any signs or symptoms, as well as a questionnaire that they need to complete. So we will maintain that practice for now, but it is evolutionary in nature. Okay? Yes, good morning.
It's kind of a rush. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's kind of a rush to eat your dinner and run to a program that starts at 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if we could start programs a little later, 7:15 perhaps.
And I think that, the question was, if you eat dinner a little bit later, being able to get to a 7 o'clock show. And it's all a balancing act. And yes, we can consider that, whether we want to leave programs at 7, do we want to move them to 7:15? I think we sort of need to feel that out a little bit as we continue to evolve. But there's nothing set in stone, and Steve's going to grin at me when I say this. There's nothing set in stone that says a program has to begin at 7. It could be a little later.
It used to be.
And right, and I think at various times it was different times. So we'll continue to look at that. I'm not going to promise you it's going to change next week, but it's something we've noticed ourselves and are thinking about, especially since we've been able to let people spend a little more time eating dinner and not be forced out the door. I get it. And it's, like I said, it's a balancing act between rushing you out to get to a program and allowing you enough time to enjoy a meal and the company that you have at that meal. So, all right, Mr. Dominic, hold on, the mic's
I
coming.
need a microphone.
Oh, Dominic doesn't need a microphone. All right.
The question I have is, in regards to the charging of materials for takeout.
Yep.
Did that originate from the home office, or was that an internal here decision to do that?
Okay, so what we're talking about, what Dominic asked, is about the disposable packaging fee that was implemented starting in July. It was announced in May, and that is a disposable packaging fee that deals with folks who are doing takeout or delivery. And that started here. It's not a corporate-wide, it's not a Spring Point-wide thing. We have seen an exorbitant increase in our cost for paper products. It's happened everywhere. To give you a little bit of information, in 2018, and don't hold me exactly to these numbers, so I'm going to round a little bit and hopefully remember them somewhat correctly. In 2018, before Village Point opened, because Village Point opened in the middle of 2018, we actually just celebrated our 3rd anniversary over there. So in 2018, the old healthcare center was still part of Monroe Village from a financial standpoint. And I say that because it's important with where I'm going. We spent, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of about $70,000 or $80,000 on paper products, for packaging. And a lot of that may have been because of the healthcare center, because we have a lot of disposable cups that go over there, a lot of things like that that happen in a skilled nursing environment. Village Point opened, healthcare center went away. In 2019, we spent somewhere, instead of $70,000 or $80,000, we spent somewhere like $60,000 on paper products in 2019 without the healthcare center, with all of Village Point being its own financial thing. So it went down, which is what we would expect. 2020, COVID hit. What did we do? We shut everything down. We had to, and it was the right thing to do. We had to do takeout service, pickup service, delivery service. We did all of those different things at various points during 2020. And then we reopened the dining venues later in 2020, September, October. It's been almost a year. So in 2020, we spent $140,000 on paper products for takeout, delivery, whatever you want to call it. $140,000. So we went from about 60 to 140, more than double. And we didn't change anything about our prices or anything about what we did because we had to do it. It was the right thing to do. It was unfair to ask folks to cover for something when we couldn't provide you with a meal in one of our dining venues. So we covered that cost. And Monroe Village has operated at a loss, not just because of that, but has operated at a loss financially. Thus far, in 2021, we reopened the dining room and the bistro late in 2020. Like I said, September or October, right? We've been able to safely serve all of our residents in one of our dining venues, just like we did before COVID, for almost a year now, for 11 months, going on 12 months. And that's a credit to everybody. And we now have and have had a safe environment for people to be able to eat. And if you remember, prior to COVID, we didn't even do takeout. The only takeout we did was takeout. You could do takeout from the bistro, but there was no takeout from the Fireside Restaurant. There may have been delivery, but there was no takeout. So in 2021, we are estimating that our cost for paper products, it's not going to be $140,000, a little less, $120,000, which is more than double what we budgeted it to be in 2021. So we've got a large variance there. So the question then becomes, okay, how do we cover that variance? What do we do? And basically there are two ways to handle that. You can either charge those people who are utilizing a specific service, which at this point is a very small number, because again, they are making an active choice to dine in their apartment, to do takeout, because the dining venues are open. Or we can charge everyone, and that would impact everyone's monthly service fee. And as I said, we're looking at going from a budget of about 60 to spending over $120,000 on paper products. So that's a $60,000 to $70,000 difference between what we thought we would spend and what we are spending, solely because people are choosing to do takeout, and it's your choice at this time. So if we were, instead of the $2.25 disposable packaging fee that we are charging to those who choose to do takeout, we could add it to everybody's monthly service fee. And we've got to make up that $60,000 to $70,000. And let me tell you, I'll give you a preview of the budget, okay? When we increase monthly service fees, every 1% that we increase your monthly service fee brings in about $100,000 in revenue. It actually brings in like $92,000 in revenue, a little less than $100,000, okay? So if I need to make up that $60,000 to $70,000, instead of charging just the people who do takeout, I would need to increase every single resident's monthly service fee by about 0.75%. And we looked at that and we said, well, is it fair to charge everybody for what a relatively small number of people are utilizing? There are some things that everybody utilizes, and that's part of what your monthly service fee does. There are some things that only a small number of people utilize, and that's where we say there is the ancillary charge list. And it could be, there are ancillary charges for a variety of things. This is something that's new. Paper costs have gone up tremendously, not just because we're using more, but because paper costs have gone up tremendously with inflation. And we haven't even touched on that yet. So as of now, we are assessing that $2.25, and that just covers our costs. It's not making any money for Monroe Village or Spring Point. It's just covering our material costs. It's not even covering the additional labor that we need to use to prepare those takeout meals. It's here now. If paper costs go down because inflation recedes, that charge might go down. It might go away. If we find that we are not doing enough takeout to justify it because our costs are so exorbitant, then it might go away. But in looking at how to best serve the needs of the residents, and it's not just the needs of the residents in terms of, did you eat tonight? Did you get a program tonight? Did you get an activity? It's making sure that we are being good financial stewards as well. We felt it was better to implement that charge to cover our costs just for those people who are making an active choice to do takeout, as opposed to asking everyone to shoulder that burden. So that's the rationale behind that. I know that some people may not agree with that, and I respect that. And basically you're stuck with two different choices. Either those who use it pay, or we all pay. So we decided to do it that way. It'll be something that's constantly evolving. If we find, again, like I said, the costs go down, then maybe the charge goes down or goes away. But at this point, that was what we believed, what I believed, okay, I'm not even gonna say the royal we, what I believed was the smartest use of your financial resources, giving a very, very dynamic situation.
I just hope that it doesn't lead to a nickel and dime increase mentality based on the fact that there might be some other areas that you kind of recoup some of your losses.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll always be getting these little trickle down things.
Right, and what Dominic's saying is,
going in in that direction.
Right, and what Dominic's saying is, he hopes it doesn't turn into a nickel and dime sort of thing, and I don't disagree with that. But we also need to recognize, do we want to operate our community as a Club Med, meaning everything's included, and when you go to a Club Med or an all-inclusive resort, you pay for it? Or do we operate where everybody gets a certain level of service, and those who want additional service pay for that additional service? It's a balancing act, Dominic. I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you at all. And our goal is not to every little thing look at, oh, well, this costs 30 cents, so we're going to charge somebody for that, or this costs, no. But we also need to be good financial stewards and balance the good of the whole versus individual desires. So, yes, we got a mic in the back with Joan. Yeah, Joan.
Thank you. My question is, why are we doing takeout? If pre-COVID, we did all these things, no pre-takeout, we sort of went back to what we had pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we doing it now?
Sure. So the real simple answer to that is, it's all about choice. And we are giving residents choice to do what they want. Some people like to dine in, some people like to take out. And those who are taking out, at this point, because we know that it is a safe experience for folks to be able to dine in, or if they choose, it's an active choice, they understand that there is a small cost associated with it. It's all about choice.
Well, what made you make that change now? I mean, at this point, because it's after COVID?
Well, because it's after COVID, because we implemented it, and because there is still a percentage of the population that likes to have that as a choice.
It didn't before.
Well, right, but times change too. So yeah, you're right, we didn't before, and I don't know, was that right or wrong? I don't know.
Well, we came here for the purpose of having our meals served.
Yep.
Having everything done for us.
Right.
Which is.
And you still have that available to you, absolutely. Some people want to do it slightly differently. Is one right? One wrong? Nah. Just about choice. Yes, Betty.
First of all, the latest inflation rate for the last month is running at 5.4%. Last month, it was at 7%. We have a real problem, but that's not my point. My point is that I have noticed that the rear of the dining room is still closed. That was always available. And perhaps if that were open, we could accommodate more people, because I think part of it is you're not sure if you're going to be able to be accommodated or not.
Mm-hmm.
People are making reservations weeks in advance.
Right.
So can we expect that rear of the dining room to be open sometime?
All right, so let's talk about reservations. Reservations can be made up to a week in advance, no further in advance than that. And the point of reservations are not because we do not have enough space. The point of reservations are because we need to have knowledge of who has been in the restaurant and the bistro at certain times for contact tracing purposes. We have ample seating to accommodate every single resident in either dining venue every single night. The back section of the dining room right now does not need to be open for us to accommodate everyone. That dining room was built to accommodate well over 300 occupants of Monroe Village in independent living. Right now we're at about 200. And we also did not have the bistro. So from an operating standpoint, it would be foolish for us from a financial standpoint to operate an area of the dining room that will cost us money and not be necessary. So that's part of us trying to be good financial stewards right now. Situations change. I can't say what the future holds, but right now we're not unable to accommodate every single resident just because that area is closed.
Oh, also one other thing. If you are sick.
Yes.
You know, that 225, will that 225 be the rate?
So the question was, if you're sick, are you going to be charged? No, in the same way that you are not charged the delivery fee, if you have seen the clinic and they have authorized it, same thing holds true for the 225. Okay? Yeah, Larry.
Since this, are you hearing me?
I am, yes.
Okay. Since this fee has taken place, how has the amount of pickup progressed?
It's gone down a little.
A little.
A little.
So people are still willing to pay.
There are some who are
If they
still.
do it every day, you're talking about $600 or $700 a year, I believe.
That is correct.
Wow.
And again, that's personal choice, right?
Okay, no, I'll bring up something else at a different time with you.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing is very brief and not that important. Since you've instituted or brought back the breakfast menu, including pancakes, etc.
Yeah.
What is the time element in the bistro for that type of cooking? Is there an element where if I came in there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, can I still get breakfast?
No. Breakfast is until 11 o'clock.
Okay, so that menu will work up until 11 o'clock.
Correct.
So which means I'm too late today.
You're too late today. Maybe tomorrow, Larry. Unless you want to do it as takeout. No, I'm only kidding. Other comments or questions? Oh, we got one more. We got Ann over. Oh, we got two more. Hi, Ann.
Hi. Was sort of personal. The light has been off in Courtyard C for a while.
Okay.
I'm wondering when will it go on?
Okay, we'll have you put in a maintenance request about that?
Yes.
Okay, so let me follow up with them to see. I know sometimes our outdoor lighting is a little tricky, and what I mean by that is you're gonna have one more up front, Tony. It's a little tricky in that sometimes we need to bring in an outside contract. Is it a light up high?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the trick. Yeah, because we don't have the equipment to do that. We need to bring in a lift, and I think they're scheduling that at some point soon. I don't know when exactly, but I do know we have a couple of lights like that right now. So thank you for reminding us. Hi there.
I used to enjoy the dinner at lunchtime where they had the dining room open for lunchtime.
Mm-hmm.
I would enjoy the dinner at lunchtime. So I wonder if you are thinking about doing that.
The answer to that is no. We closed the village, when the Village Bistro opened, and within a year or so of that, we were down to less than 20 people, if I remember correctly. And this was even before my arrival here almost 4 years ago, who were using the Fireside Restaurant for lunch. So again, it no longer made sense to operate two dining venues at that period of time. So what we did was we did close the restaurant for lunch, and we changed up some of the offerings in the bistro for lunch. Then COVID happened and everything went wacky, but we are back to the bistro being open for lunch, and there are what I'm going to call full entree options, specials available at lunch, because there are some folks like you who might like to have their main meal of the day at lunchtime, and that is available for you in the bistro.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think we got one more in the back. No, one more back, Tony.
I'm just curious.
Sure.
I've sat in the dining room downstairs and waited sometimes a long time for my meal.
Mm-hmm.
How many cooks are in the kitchen?
So typically in the kitchen there are 3 to 4 cooks.
All preparing the meal?
During mealtime, yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Going once. Going twice. Sold. All right. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you for your patience and your attention. A lot of good information today. And stay cool and stay hydrated, all right? Thank you, everyone.